Good morning. We all know that after a long time, we are having our class again. So, this is our third part of our first chapter, Life's Mysteries in Little Chambers. So, as I have told you, after a long period, we are having our class again. So, we have to be a review is needed of the previous classes, is it? Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to follow up the new topics. So, as a part of the continuation of the chapter to know about the previous classes, we are taking a review about the previous classes. Is it clear for you? So, what are things we have studied in our last classes? We have studied about the microscope, the parts of a microscope, different types of microscope. Is it? What is a microscope? Microscope is used for viewing the objects that we can't see with our naked eye. Is it? And parts of the microscope we have observed what are the parts of the microscope we have observed? The eyepiece lens, objective lens, stage and clip, and condenser and mirror will be there. These are the parts of the microscope, and we have studied about the functions of each part, isn't it? So, and we have studied about the different types of microscope. Simple microscope is there, and this is a compound microscope. Okay, so simple microscope, compound microscope, and electron microscope. And there are other types of microscope also, but for your information, only 3 types of microscope only now we have to know. So, simple microscope, compound microscope, and electron microscope. And this is a compound microscope. We have studied about the parts of a compound microscope. Then we have studied that about the cell, and our chapter name itself having little chambers. We have discussed about that, is it? And the scientist Robert Hooke taken the section of a cork. Cork is the portion of a wood. Okay, so taken the section of a cork and he observed through the simple microscope. At that time, he seen some little chambers, is it? And he called those little chambers as the cell. So, Robert Hooke discovered cell. And the next scientist is the Robert Brown. What Robert Brown has done? Robert Brown discovered the center of the cell and he named it as a nucleus. Then we have studied about M.J. Sheridan. M.J. Sheridan found out that the body of a plant is made up of cells. Then Theodore Schwann, he found out that the body of an animal is made up of cells. Then we have studied about Rudolf Virchow. Rudolf Virchow found, he observed the dividing cells and inferred that, and that is when he came to a conclusion that new cells are arising from the already existing cells. Is it? All these things we have covered in our last classes. Then we have studied about the cell theory. Is it? Cell theory. What do you mean by the cell theory? Cell theory, we have studied that. Who proposed the cell theory? The cell theory was formulated by M.J. Sheridan and Theodore Schwann. The body of, there are 2 points coming under the cell theory. You can see that the body of all organisms is made up of cell. Then what is the second point? Cells are the structural and functional units of organisms. So, the cell theory is formulated by 2 scientists, M.J. Sheridan and Theodore Schwann. The body of all organisms is made up of cell. The cells are the structural and functional units of organisms. These are the 2 main points coming under the cell theory. Next, we can move to the functions performed by a cell. Okay, so here you can see functions performed by cells. We have already discussed about these points, that is resist foreign particles. We have told what is a foreign particle? Anything that is entering to our body and that is apart from what is present in our body, anything that is entering to our body like bacteria, virus, whatever it is, what is entering to our body is the foreign particle to our body. So the cells will resist these foreign particles, entry of these foreign particles. Then synthesis of biomolecules. Synthesis of biomolecules means it will helps in the production of hormones, enzymes, all those things, mucus, everything helps, cells helps in the production of all these things. Then comes release energy from nutrients. We all know that energy is released from the nutrients. Now, after that, we have studied about the structure of a plant cell. Yeah, you can see in the picture and the plant cell, there are the fluid part of the plant cell is known as the cytoplasm. The fluid part inside the cell is known as the cytoplasm. Then another cell organelle present is the vacuole. And the vacuole, it is covered with a protective covering, and that covering is known as the tonoplast. Is it clear for you? And what is the function of vacuole? It stores salt, water, and excretory materials. So we have discussed about the vacuole. Next, we are going to study about the ribosomes. Ribosomes are present in the cell. It is actually produced by the inside the nucleus, and it is given outside. And these ribosomes helps in the protein synthesis. Is it clear for you? And these ribosomes are seen either attached to the endoplasmic reticulum or freely floating in the cytoplasm. Is it clear for you? So now we have discussed about what is the function of vacuole and what is the function of ribosomes. So if a question comes, which is the which is the center of protein synthesis, you have to write ribosomes, and ribosomes are the center of the protein synthesis. Then which cell organelle is having a protective covering, the tonoplast, it is called as the vacuole. And another thing is vacuole, ribosomes, all the other structures you are seeing inside the cytoplasm, floating inside the cytoplasm. It is known as the cell organelles. Is it clear for you? You can see a boundary for the cell, and it is known as the cell membrane. And inside the cell, you can see the fluid, and that fluid is called as the cytoplasm. And in the cytoplasm, you can see so many structures, and those cell structures are called as the cell organelles. Among these cell organelles, now we have discussed about the vacuole and the ribosome. And the next cell organelle we are going to discuss is the endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum helps in the conduction of materials inside the cell. And this endoplasmic reticulum has a particular name. It is known as the cytoskeleton. So there comes a question, why the endoplasmic reticulum is known as the cytoskeleton? Because endoplasmic reticulum provides firmness and shape to the cell. Is it clear for you? So, which cell organelle is known as the cytoskeleton? You have to answer endoplasmic reticulum. Why it is known as the cytoskeleton? Because it provides shape and firmness to the cell. Then comes the Golgi apparatus or Golgi complex. Golgi complex stores the cell secretions like hormones, enzymes, mucus. And this Golgi complex is seen more in the glandular cells. There are different types of cells that you study in the coming chapters. So this Golgi complex is seen more in the glandular cells. Then comes the mitochondria. Mitochondria, it is known as the powerhouse of the cell. Why it is known as the powerhouse of the cell? Because it helps in the storage and production of energy. Is it clear for you? So, which organelle is known as the powerhouse of the cell? Mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell. Why it is known as the powerhouse of the cell? Because it helps in the storage and production of energy. Then where it is seen, where this mitochondria is seen. Mitochondria is seen in the cells of liver, muscles, brain, where energy requirement is more. So where the energy requirement is more, the mitochondria is seen. In such cells, mitochondria is seen more. Then we have discussed about which all things now we have discussed: Golgi apparatus or Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum. Then we have discussed about mitochondria, vacuole, ribosomes. These are the cell organelles seen inside the cell. Then you have then chloroplast. You can see chloroplast. The main peculiarity of the chloroplast consists of the photosynthetic pigment. You have heard about chlorophyll. I think you have heard about the pigment chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is present in the chloroplast, and the main peculiarity of the chloroplast is only the plant cell consists of the chloroplast. Then you can see nucleus. We have told about the nucleus, the center of the. We have studied that which scientists found out that the center of the cell is known as nucleus. Robert Brown found out that the center of the cell is known as the nucleus. Robert Hooke observed the cell or discovered the cell, and Robert Brown found out that it is having a center, and that center is known as the nucleus. So the center of the cell is known as the nucleus, and this nucleus has different parts. Now I will tell about the parts, and after discussing about the parts, I will show you about the video of the nucleus and the cell structures. Okay, so the different parts of a nucleus is nucleoplasm, nuclear membrane, nucleolus. All these are the parts of a nucleus. Nuclear membrane, as the name indicates, it's clear that the covering of the nucleus is called as the nuclear membrane, and it is a double-layered membrane. Inside the nuclear membrane, we can see nucleoplasm, as if we are telling about the cytoplasm. Nucleoplasm is the fluid seen inside the nucleus. And next is the nucleolus. What is the function of nucleolus? Nucleolus is a small structure or small body seen inside the nucleus, helps in the production of ribosomes. We have told that ribosomes are produced inside the nucleus. So this nucleolus helps in the production of ribosomes. Then inside the nucleus, the fluid, that is nucleoplasm, you can see chromatin reticulum. What is the function of chromatin reticulum? Chromatin reticulum consists of DNA. On this DNA, genes are present. These genes helps in the production of proteins. Okay, or controls the production of the protein. Then I have told you that another structure seen on the nucleus is the nuclear pore. And as it indicates, pore means a hole on the nucleus. It helps in the conduction of materials inside to and outside the nucleus. These are the parts of the nucleus. Then you can see that. Now you can watch the video of the plant cell. In that you can see every structure very clearly. Is it clear for you? And now you can watch the video. In that video, you can see about the structure of the plant cell.
A plant cell, similarly to an animal cell, contains a cell nucleus, in which genetic material is stored in the form of DNA. Inside the cell nucleus, there is the nucleolus. It is a granular body built of protein and ribonucleic acid, RNA, in which, inter alia, ribosomes are produced. Ribosomes are organelles involved in the synthesis of proteins. Some of them are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Others are freely suspended in the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is a liquid suspension filling the cell, which contains various organelles. One of them is the endoplasmic reticulum. It has the shape of a labyrinth surrounding the nucleus. One part of the ER is called rough and the other smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The Golgi body is the cell repository. The substances produced in it are stored there and then transported to other parts of the cell. Among the more complex organelles are the mitochondria, in which cellular respiration takes place. Their number, size and shape vary depending on the cell type. Each plant cell is surrounded by a cell membrane. It acts as a barrier separating the cell from the external environment. A plant cell also has a number of unique features. The cell wall, which is composed of multiple cellulose layers, is a characteristic feature of a plant cell. Its rigid structure serves as a frame that gives the cell a regular shape. The cell wall protects the cell against water loss, while allowing the flow of various substances from and into the cell. The plant cell can use solar energy as fuel for the production of the organic compounds it needs. This is possible through chloroplasts found in the cell, which are also known as green bodies. These organelles contain chlorophyll, the green pigment enabling the conversion of solar energy into the energy of chemical bonds. Large vacuoles, whose surface often occupies almost the entire cell, are another unique feature of plant cells. Vacuoles can be likened to huge tanks filled with cell sap, containing mainly water and spare substances. These elements of the plant cell closely cooperate together, ensuring the proper functioning of the cell. They are found in all plant cells, irrespective of the type of plant.
I think now it's clear for you about the structure of the cell and the cell organelles present inside the plant cell. Is it? So once more, I conclude about the topic, the structure of the plant cell. That is, the plant cell has a cell membrane, a cell wall it is having. Inside the cell wall or cell membrane, it consists of the fluid known as the cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm, cell organelles are present, and the different cell organelles present inside the cell is mitochondria, chloroplast, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, Golgi complex or Golgi apparatus, ribosomes. All these are the cell organelles that is seen inside the cell or cytoplasm, floating inside the cytoplasm. And the center of the cell is known as the nucleus, and we have studied about the structure of the nucleus. Nucleus consists of a nuclear membrane, nuclear core, nucleoplasm, nucleolus. All these are the parts of the nucleus, and chromatic reticulum also. And we told that in the chromatic reticulum, DNA is present. Chromatic reticulum is the network, a network-like structure seen inside the nucleoplasm, inside the nucleus. So, on this chromatic reticulum, DNA is present. I think DNA is not a new word for you. You had heard from the outside also. DNA is present. On the DNA, genes are present. Is it clear for you? So, always you keep in mind this. That is, the structure of the center of the cell is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, chromatic reticulum or chromosomes are present. On the chromosomes, and on the chromosomes, DNA is present. On the DNA, genes are present. And these genes helps in so many controlling the functions of the cell. Is it clear for you? Then the nucleus is also known as the regulatory center of the cell. So there comes a question, why nucleus is known as the regulatory center of the cell? Is it clear for you? Because we have talked about the genes. The genes helps in the production of, control the production of proteins. These proteins helps in various activities of the cell. So all the various activities of the cells are regulated by the proteins produced by the genes. Is it clear for you? So genes helps in the controls. The genes controls the production of various proteins in the cell, and these proteins regulate various activities or functions of the cell. That's why nucleus is known as the regulatory center of the cell. Is it clear for you? Then comes protoplasm and cytoplasm. What is protoplasm? All the materials inside the cell membrane constitute the protoplasm. Is it clear for you? That means nucleus, cell organelle, cytoplasm, everything constitute together to form the protoplasm. And what is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is a part of protoplasm excluding nucleus. So if we are telling about the cytoplasm, it is a part of the protoplasm excluding, avoiding nucleus. Cytoplasm will not consist of the nucleus. Is it clear for you? Protoplasm means all the substances inside the cell membrane constitute the protoplasm, and cytoplasm is a part of protoplasm excluding the nucleus. That is the difference between protoplasm and cytoplasm. Now we can see about that. What are prokaryotes and eukaryotes? Now we have told about that the center of the cell is known as the nucleus. So the cells of bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma, nucleus is absent. The cell central nucleus is absent. They are known as the prokaryotes. Is it clear for you? So in bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma, nucleus is absent and they are known as the prokaryotes. And the organisms in the cells of amoeba, plants and animals, nucleus is present in the center of the cell. And it is known as the eukaryotes. Those organisms having the cell consisting of the nucleus is known as the eukaryotes. Is it clear for you what is prokaryotes and eukaryotes? Once again, I will tell for you that is prokaryotes are in the cells of bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma. Nucleus is absent and they are called as the prokaryotes. And in the cells of amoeba, plants and animals, center of the cell is nucleus is present and they are called as the eukaryotes. Is it clear for you? Now we can study about the difference between the compound microscope and electron microscope. I have told you earlier itself there are different types of microscope. There are simple microscope, compound microscope and electron microscope. Among the compound microscope and electron microscope, there are some differences. Among those differences, I will tell you some of the one or two points about the important difference among the compound microscope and electron microscope. One of the main difference between the compound microscope and electron microscope is a compound microscope magnifies an object 2000 times greater than that of its actual size. Is it clear for you? A compound microscope magnifies an object 2000 times greater than that of its actual size. And an electron microscope magnifies an object million times than of its actual size. Is it clear for you? A compound microscope magnifies an object 2000 times greater than that of its actual size. An electron microscope magnifies an object million times greater than that of its actual size. Then another main difference between the compound microscope and electron microscope, we have studied while discussing about the parts of a compound microscope, we have gone through the mirror. This mirror reflects the light. And so in compound microscope, light source is used. But in electron microscope, as its name indicates, what it is used, that electrons are used there. So once again, I will tell about the difference between compound microscope and electron microscope. Compound microscope magnifies an object 2000 times than its actual size, and an electron microscope magnifies an object million times than its actual size. Then what is the compound functional next point of the compound microscope? That is, light energy is used as a source in the compound microscope, and the electrons are used in the as a source in the electron microscope. So these are the two main differences coming under the difference between a compound microscope and the electron microscope. You have studied in this chapter, you have studied about the parts of a compound microscope. Now, so I think from today's class, it's clear for you about the parts of a microscope, then cell, about the cell, structure of the cell, and about the parts of the nucleus. Why nucleus is known as the regulatory center of the cell. Then what is protoplasm and cytoplasm, and what is the difference between a compound microscope and electron microscope, and what are prokaryotes and eukaryotes. All these things you have studied about this chapter today. So the next thing is you have to read all these parts and keep in touch. By the next class we can complete our first chapter. So keep in touch with your chapter every day. Read the chapter, what the portion you have taken today, cover the portion today itself, complete your notes up to date. Is it clear for you? The remaining part of the chapter we can take in the next class. So thank you. Study well. Do your work regularly. Thank you.